Rob here for Quadratec. Today, we're taking a look at some lights from TYRI Off-Road, specifically their lineup of 1010 series lights, both the standard 1010 as well as the brand new 1010 INTELLilight, giving you the flexibility and customizability to change the output of light at the moment's notice with just a couple quick taps right there on your smartphone. I'll come back to that in just a moment. Now, TYRI got their start building, designing, and engineering lights over 30 years ago for the heavy equipment market, and they've put their lights to the test in places like the mining industry. Their lights have to stand up to the harshest conditions with the widest range of temperature swings and constant vibration. Failure is just not an option, both from a cost standpoint as well as a safety standpoint. In the mining and heavy equipment industry, their lights just have to flat out work. Now, some of the guys at TYRI realized that the lights that they're building would be a perfect fit for the Jeep and off-road aftermarket industry. In fact, I've spent some time on the trails of Moab with some of the guys from TYRI putting their lights to the test. Now, they've taken everything they've learned over the past 30 plus years in the heavy equipment industry, and they've now brought it to the Jeep aftermarket, constructing some of the best lights that you can buy for your vehicle. TYRI Off-Road happens to be a global company with headquarters right here in the USA. In fact, both of these lights on the table, the 1010 and the INTELLilight, as well as their entire lineup of additional lights, are proudly built right in Wisconsin, using both American-made parts as well as parts that they build in-house in their facility in Sweden, like the printed circuit boards that are in use in these lights. Now, if you want to check out more in the lineup from TYRI Off-Road, including their light bars and many different size lights, you can click that info button to head to Quadratec.com. Now, before I dive into some of the specific features of both of the 1010 lights that I have on the table with me today, let's talk about some of the features that they share across the platform. As I mentioned, TYRI builds their lights for the heavy equipment and mining industry, and they have to stand up to very rigorous levels of testing. So the moment that you get your hands on a 1010 series or any light from TYRI Off-Road, you'll realize the high level of build quality that you're getting in these lights, and can rest assured knowing that they're always going to work when you need them to. In fact, they're subjected to temperature tests in a chamber ranging from -40 all the way through 185 degrees Fahrenheit for a period of 28 days. That's a full month at up to levels of 90% humidity. Now, speaking of water ingress and humidity, they're also subjected to submersion as well as power washing to earn them an IP69K waterproof rating. When you're looking at the light, one of the other things you'll notice here is a vibration dampener on all of the mounting points of their lights. They're subjected to a continuous day's vibration at different positions, different levels, to ensure that the circuit boards and the optics in the light are going to continue to function under even the harshest conditions. Now, you'll notice you're going to get things like a heavy-duty cast aluminum housing. Some of the other things included with the standard 1010 series of light I have here on the table with me, you're going to get a lens cover as well as the mounting bracket and all the hardware required. You're also going to get a Deutsch style or DT style pigtail that's designed to plug right into the back of that light. I'll come back to that in just a moment. And in addition to the clear lens that comes pre-installed in Wisconsin, you're also going to get an additional yellow colored lens, as well as a new gasket to maintain that IP69K rating, as well as new hardware when it comes time to switch that lens out, allowing you to custom tailor the light output from your 1010 light. So that clear lens is perfect for dry, good weather conditions, whereas maybe that yellow light is much better for dusty or inclement weather, rain, snow, or fog, allowing you to tailor those lights exactly how you like them. Now, out of the box, the standard 1010 comes installed with a driving style lens that's going to give you a great mix of long throw down the road or trail ahead of you, as well as a nice wide, even spread of light. Now, speaking to that even spread of light, actually at this year's past SEMA show, we had a chance to stop by and talk to the guys from TYRI Off-Road and check out their functioning dark room they had in their booth, where we could test out their lights and see just what a great wide even spread of light that these are putting out. Now, speaking to that output of light, this standard 1010 is tested to an amazing 4,600 effective lumens of light output. Now, that's a real-world measurement taken outside of the light once it reaches its operating temperature, not simply calculated by the amount of voltage that's being fed into the circuit board and the LED chips on the light. Now, there also happen to be additional lens kits available for purchase separately, allowing you to either repair a damaged lens if you should have an accident on a trail, or change out the lens to a different optic style, maybe something like a spot beam for longer throw down the trail, or a true flood pattern for a nice, simply wide cast light closer to your vehicle. You can check out those available lens kits by heading to Quadratec.com. Now, I mentioned earlier that the Deutsch style or DT connector is found right there on the back of the light. They do include the pigtail to plug in there. One thing I really like about that is it makes for a very clean and professional looking easy install, because when you're installing this light on a place like maybe your windshield cowl, you're not dealing with a pigtail and a bulky connector a couple inches away from the light that we have to tuck away and hide. We can run our wiring and simply connect it right there at the back of the light. It also means that when it comes time to disconnect and remove that light for any servicing, it's going to be a very simple task. We don't need to go removing cowl panels to find that connection point. Now, why would you want to remove that light? Maybe it's to change out from a clear to a yellow lens, which is a really simple procedure. Of course, you could do it on the vehicle, but it's much easier to do it on a flat working surface. After removing the light from the Jeep, we can simply start by removing the 4 T20 Torx screws on the bezel. We're going to find 4 additional T20 Torx screws holding that lens in place. We can remove that old gasket because we're going to be replacing it with a new included gasket to maintain that IP69K rating. And you're also going to get new hardware to secure that lens in place. With the new lens installed, we can simply reinstall the bezel and then put the light right there back on our Jeep. Speaking of that installation, as I mentioned, you're going to get a Deutsch style pigtail included, allowing you to custom make your own wiring harness if you choose. Now, TYRI Off-Road also offers 2 additional wiring harnesses available separately, making your installation a bit easier. You can choose from the shorter length harness, giving you 2 different length legs, making it perfect for connecting to the battery, and then one side followed by the other at the cowl. They also have a longer length harness that's perfect for running down to lights on, say, a front bumper, even a rear bumper, or maybe even a rack on the back of a Gladiator. The 1010 is great with both lenses included, allowing you to tailor that light output to good weather conditions or inclement weather conditions with that yellow lens. But what if trail conditions change while you're out there at a moment's notice? Well, that's where the INTELLilight comes in. With a quick couple taps on your smartphone, you can custom tailor the output of light from the INTELLilight, ranging from warm to cool to get the best possible visibility out of your light. Before I dive more into that, quickly we can look at the construction of the light and see that it is very similar to the standard 1010 with the same great heat sink there, connection on the back of the light, vibration isolators. We're also going to get all the same great mounting hardware as well as that pigtail right there in the box. Where the INTELLilight really shines is when we turn it on. So I'm going to go ahead and fire up my app right here on my smartphone. And you can see I've already got some lights added into the app here, and I've got 4 INTELLilights installed on the front of my Gladiator, 2 up on the windshield and 2 down there on the bumper. I want to note that all 4 of those lights are currently wired to one single switch that is powered on. I can make one tap on my smartphone to turn on all 4 of those lights. Now, before I dive into some of the great features packed into the app and what it allows us to do with all of the lights installed on the Jeep, let's go ahead and turn off most of them, leaving one single light powered on here on my driver's side windshield so I can run through some of the great features of each individual INTELLilight. Now, if I tap on that light here, we can bring up a color temperature. And that's going to allow us, you can see, to change from a neutral light, which is currently illuminating that top row of 3 warm LEDs, as well as the bottom row of 3 cool LEDs. Now we can move over and only illuminate those upper warm LEDs. That light is going to be great at cutting through dust, fog, inclement weather. Now let's say we find ourselves in some better driving conditions. Well, the other end of that spectrum is a crisp, cool white light that's going to give us the best possible visibility for the driving conditions that you find yourself in. Of course, we can mix it anywhere in between or go with that right down the middle neutral, illuminating all of 6 of those cool and warm LED chips for a total output of 2,900 effective lumens. Now, that can also range all the way down to 0 effective lumens, because in addition to controlling the color temperature, we can also slide the brightness down in 20% increments, dimming that light, because sometimes you're going to find yourself needing to reduce the power. The full power of the light could actually reduce your visibility. Let's say you're in some heavy snowfall, 100% power is actually going to impair your vision. By pulling that down to a lower level, it's again going to maintain the highest level of visibility with the INTELLights that you have installed on your Jeep. Now let's go ahead and fire some of these other lights back up so we can talk about some of the great features that the app provides. And one of the first things I'm going to do here is first go in and delete that light that I was previously working with, so I can show you just how easy it is to add a light into the app. So now we've only got the 3 remaining lights here. If I hit that off button, you're going to see that all the other lights respond except for that one here. We're going to go into the add button here for an ungrouped find lights. Of course, that light is powered on because the switch it is wired to is in the on position. Here our light comes right up. We can hit the plus button. It's going to tell us that it's flashing for identification, so we know we've got the right light. We can add it to the mesh network. Now, the INTELLight is using a Bluetooth mesh network, allowing my phone to communicate with all 4 of those lights with one simple connection. In fact, each of those lights are talking to each other as well, so I only need connection between my phone and one light. Whether it's 2, 4, 10 lights spread around your Jeep, that mesh network is very smart and allows you to do a lot with the different groupings of lights. So you can see here I currently have a bumper group that is off. If I hit that toggle, it's going to illuminate the 2 INTELLights found down on my bumper. I can jump into that group and change the color temperature to a nice warm temperature to help cut through that dust down low, kicked up from the Jeep down farther on the trail in front of me there. I could also change the brightness of that bumper group. Now I've got some ungrouped lights here that I can operate individually, but let's say we want to go ahead and make a new group called cow lighting. We can name that group, and then once we create a new group, we can add some lights to it. We've got a plus and we've got a lightning bolt. If I tap that lightning bolt, you can see it's going to flash the light, confirming I'm adding the light that I expect to that group. Hit the add button. I'm going to go ahead and add this other light here, the only remaining light within my group. Now they're in my cow lighting group. I can see that we're powered up in neutral at 50% brightness. Let's bump that up to 100%, maybe crisp, cool white to throw some light far down the trail in front of me there. You can see that I've got a mix of different settings between the different groups around my Jeep. At any given time, we've got an all light function right there at the top. I can see right now it's giving us an 80% average for total illumination of mixed color temperature. If you want to sync them all up, well, let's go cool between all 4 lights and bump them all right back up to 100% power. We can also turn off all 4 lights with a simple toggle right there at the top of the menu in the INTELLight app. Of course, we can also drill into each one of those individual lights in the app, changing their settings, allowing us to custom tailor how they react when we turn power off. So when it comes time to activate and deactivate those lights with the hardwired switch, you don't always need to use that smartphone app. We can actually save the settings into each one of those INTELLights so that when we turn it back on, it remembers the last setting that we programmed in, or we can always just set them to always come on to full brightness every time we turn them on for the maximum amount of flexibility out of the INTELLilight. Now, if you want to get more information or to purchase yourself either a standard 1010 series light or the all-new INTELLilight paired with that app giving you unlimited flexibility at custom tailoring the output of light to the driving conditions you find yourself in, you can click that info button to head over to quadratec.com. Of course, if you have any comments or questions about any of the lights from TYRI or how to get them installed, you can always leave those for me down in the comment section below or by simply heading to quadratec.com. If you haven't already and you like these videos, do me a huge favor, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to hit that notification button so you're sure to know about all of our latest videos. And of course, give me a thumbs up as well. Till next time, I'm Rob. I'll see you out on the trail.